Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. Tonight it is the Southern 500 here in the Sigma Cup Series, and it'll be a good one here tonight. Al Bunch rolls in with the points lead. Bradley Reim not too far behind in the point standings, looking to try and make up some ground on Al Bunch for that title. But of course, tonight here we have Jimmy Logano in the field as well, making one of his select few starts in the Sigma Cup Series. Next in line, you've got the 85 of Brian DeBlanc, who's sitting top 5 in the points. Dalton Scott in his farewell tour. Rich Roy and Braden Varga, followed by Chaz Chadwick rolling out the new SpaceX scheme here in the Cup side of things, alongside Bradley Reim. Then it's Ewan What Army, who just got out of victory lane from the last race. Tyler Landa, Maggie Reams and Tom Cording, Kellen Relic and Taden Berggren, Eli the Wolf and Jacob Shangle, Cooper Dwight and Tyler Shangle, Bella Fawn and Trevor Walker, Finlay Herwig and James Fireball Robert, followed by Nate Newman and Carson Bowers, Kevin Xavier and Andre Stefan, Lynn Farrell and Jordan Walker, Lucas Holmes and Tyler Aspinall, Chris Harvey and Kara Shangle, Gannon Bird and Guido Piano, Cam Jordan, Monty Shangle, Louis Trost and John Hagan, Tasha Wright and Jack Ross, with Tristan Reams and Matthew Fastnot rounding out the field here in Darlington. I love it. Have the Adam Sandler intro to open up, starting drivers' engines here today.
How about there? You got me? Yeah, you got a copy? And where are y'all at here? If you're looking to start finish line this way, the room I get today. Take it. Go ahead. Back in the state, you look good, green.
The pace car is off, and we're going to get rolling here tonight from Darlington. 500 miles of racing. Sigma ARCA Championship was decided yesterday. Sigma Bridge to Cup titles also been decided this week. Cup Series is only halfway through right now, and so they're looking to try and get past the halfway mark and put together a championship caliber into the season here. Well, it's going to be a long night of racing, but Al Bunch is already settled in up front, leading the way. Chaz Chadwick looking to try and flip the script. He's been off to a really rough season this year, and he's hoping to maybe turn it around with the new paint scheme here. Not doing half bad. Running in 6th at the moment, making a move here on the inside of Jimmy Logano for what would be 5th. Welcome in, Al Bunch. You are up front and leading the race. Good of you to tune in and catch yourself up front and leading. Southern 500 racing action here from Darlington. So all these drivers are racing to get a charter for next year. You know, if you're not in the championship battle, that's, you know, no big deal. The next best thing is going to be trying to get top 32 in the points. And with the top 32 in the points, that'll guarantee you a starting spot next year in all 42 races with the charter. I guarantee you that's what Rich Roy there in the number 71 is trying to accomplish here. He rolled into this year after buying a charter, guaranteed to start every race, but it hasn't been a walk in the park for that 71 team. He's had to earn it. He's had to fight for everything. And here he is tonight with a good run at Darlington, hoping to try and secure some good points and keep his name in the hat for a top 32. Al Bunch has started this race up front, dominantly leading so far. The points battle has not gotten too far out of hand. Of course. No internet. Love it. Don't know why we can't have internet function all the time. Why the internet's got to be so difficult. I just don't get it. Don't get it. So there's a hiccup there in the internet for a brief moment. It seems like the frames are picking up a little bit here, but I'm still dropping frames like a madman. Up to third now, it is Chadwick, and that number 18 as he's closing up on the top two here. Maybe not closing up as much, but he's definitely gaining ground to the leaders. He's moving through the field. Tonight's going to be an interesting one with a lot of strategies and whatnot to pan out. It's going to be a long 500 miles here. This track is always grueling. always tears up the tires. And so we'll start to see that these cars will probably fall off past halfway in the green flag stint before pit stops. They haven't fallen off too bad right now. They're about a second off the pace from their fastest lap. But I guarantee it'll probably be close to 2.5 seconds off the pace with the way this track eats tires for lunch. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is just an abrasive track. Al Bunch proven he's picked up where he left off from last year. He is no doubt star of the show here in the Sigma Cup Series. And still a lot of racing left this year for things to fall apart or get better for someone else. Al Bunch's stats are scary close to what he did last year here in the Cup Series, so let us look back at last year here when we last raced at Darlington for the Southern 500. It's a different time, even just 1 year ago, when you had the likes of Atlee Weiss still in the field racing with the Sigma Cup Series. Darlington last year, victory was claimed by Tyler Shangle over Kellen Relic, John Roman, Dalton Scott, and Tyler Aspinall. So Dalton Scott trying to pick up where he left off from here last year, feeling a little bit let down that he didn't get a few spots better than a top 4. He's already running top 2 here, hunting down Al Bunch. This year, between those two, they have pretty much been the stars of the show. The Jaguar power is unmatched here in Sigma Cup, it seems like. As you look at the win total between the two of them, Dalton Scott has 5 wins, Al Bunch has 5 wins. The only problem is Dalton Scott has failed to qualify for 3 races this year. Part of the deal of him being in the sprint qualifier as an unchartered driver. And even what's crazier is, an unchartered driver has run strong enough this year to become a chartered entry for next year. This car will go up to auction, and there will be at least a new driver owning a charter here in the Cup Series with Dalton's retirement. And it's going to be interesting to see who's got the deep pockets to buy that charter from Dalton. All proceeds from the charter auction will go to further boosting Sigma Racing's research and development across the board. It'll be kind of a spread joint deal, so since Dalton's retiring, whoever spends the money, it'll be redistributed into the series through upgrades on the field. So far tonight, 34 laps in, no caution flags. 2-car breakaway at the front of the field. The 2 Jaguars are just driving away with it at the moment. Well, now they're about 1.5 seconds off their fast paces here tonight. Like I say, and the fall off is real here at Darlington. These cars get their tires shredded. Al Bunch leading Dalton Scott, but not by a whole lot. He's kind of got his match made here tonight between him and Dalton Scott. Wow, these two cars are driving away from the rest of the field. And Brian DeBlank's nearly 2 seconds off the pace of their fast laps, so that goes to show you the differential. And that's going to be how key fresh tires will be here today. Holy cow, Maggie Reams has climbed up through the field here, folks. It doesn't show where they started on that. I wish it showed where they started. It doesn't seem to do that anymore. But what I can do is check this real quick. Maggie Reams had started in... Holy cow. Okay, not that deep. Well, she started 11th, so not as deep as I thought she did, but Jimmy Logano's dropped pretty hard here since the initial start of the race. Some drivers didn't seem to have the early run set up in their cars, maybe waiting for the long run to get their cars to come to them. Well, we are looking towards lap traffic now for our leaders. They are 2.5 seconds off the pace, so it is eating into these tires. Long green flag run, 55 laps in on the first run of the race here. in the transition of pit stops, Dalton Scott flips over to the lead here tonight. Al Bunch must have had a longer wait to go down pit road. Actually, that's exactly what happened. Dalton took the undercut, getting fresher tires sooner. And with that little bit of time that he got coming in pits first, he was able to build up some extra time on Al Bunch, who was rolling around at slower pace. So Dalton to the lead, Al Bunch in second. Running up into third now, it'll be Ewan What Army with Brian DeBlank, Bradley Reim, Maggie Reams, Eli the Wolf, Belafon, Rich Roy, and your top 10 closes out with Braden Varga there. Chaz Chadwick losing some ground here as he's fallen back to 12th. Under attack for that position. He might be back to 13th or 14th here before long. Well, so far 111 laps in tonight. Kind of about the 1/3 mark. Dalton Scott blowing the field away at the moment. Alrighty, next round of pit stops coming here at lap 122. Staying out, though, it is Al Bunch, so he's definitely got the long strategy here tonight. Staying out later, that's going to burn, you know, a little bit more on the tires. You're going to need a really, really, really good strategy to make this one work. Maybe even a little bit of good luck. Whoa, and they're wrecking right here. And that might be a good luck strike. Doesn't look like there's going to be a caution, but that happened right there in front of your leader, Al Bunch. And if they brought out a caution, that would have trapped Dalton Scott a lap down here. But everything stays green. Al Bunch still out there leading laps at the moment. He's going to try to stretch it as long as he can to try and potentially erase a late race pit stop here in the race, perhaps. Like I said, it would take a big swing at the fences here tonight for that to actually pan out. As you're looking, they're probably going to have to pit by about lap 250. With 242 laps to go. It might get interesting if this thing stays green the entirety of its run here tonight. Al Bunch could maybe find some strategy calls to his advantage. Darlington's always fascinating with the split pit road like it has. Got the big wall that juts out. Your top 5 pit stalls are all alone at the front of the pit road there. Hi, kitty kitty. Rory just showed up. She's been missing all day. Yes, good Roro. Al Bunch comes back out. And there's another wreck. There's some more. And we've got our first caution of the night. Not quite halfway in tonight's race, but a nice, neat little break in the racing action that we can maybe start seeing some changes here. It's been a follow the leader affair so far. Alrighty, so here's where our first caution lands here tonight. That looks like the 12 of Chris Harvey and the 59 of Gannon Bird. They get into it going into the turn here. That hooks Chris Harvey up into the wall. Just kind of a half spin out from the 12 of Chris Harvey, but it was enough to bring out the caution here. So, we're going to see some wave around action. Oh, shoot. That was after the caution. We had some extracurriculars with Maggie Reams taking out Kara Shangle here for whatever reason. That looks like some form of retaliation. Bam. Man, what in the world happened there? Alrighty. Well, after we got through that whole debacle, the caution fell when people were on their pit stops trapping a bunch of people a lap down. And now we should at least see everyone back in the mix here tonight, back on the lead lap for a restart at about lap 135 here. Wave round's been a little bit difficult here at Darlington. It seems like everyone waiting on the next person to move around. I do believe the lights should turn off on the pace car this time. If not, we will turn them off by hand. As the field cycles around the 00 of Jack Ross, who is 2 laps down. The 90 of Tasha Wright, who is 3 laps down. We will get doubled up here for a restart on lap 134. Wow, this is definitely a trivial way to restart here. Having them drop back like that seems to be a bit tedious, but they're getting the job done as we're getting ready for a restart here at the front of the field. They should get doubled up now that the lap traffic is dropped to the back. What an interesting turn of events here. You're going to have Maggie Reams and Rich Roy lead the field to the restart. Very slow rolling. I don't know if this is by plan, what they're thinking here. But a late race restart after our first caution of the night shakes things up a little bit here. Rich Roy and Maggie Reams. Is Rich Roy going to jump the start here on the outside is the big question. You get disqualified for jumping the start here, and they might want to be careful. As they come to the front stretch, the flagman will go grab for the green flag in his stand. He's getting ready to wave it, and here we go, back in racing here at Darlington for the Southern 500. 234 laps left to go here tonight. Rich Roy out to the lead impressively. Now is this going to be one of those caution breeds cautions ordeals tonight? Ow, slowed. Wow, Al Bunch pitting at the midway point here. That's not normal. You got 2 Jaguars, 2 Chevys. The slow roll down pit lane is what's even most painful. More painful, even Maggie Reams, who had the front row. It doesn't say anything about a black flag, so I honestly don't know if this is just AI shenanigans or what. If you've got the window of opportunity to pit, you might as well pit and get the advantage, but I don't know if 2 laps is going to be much of an advantage here when everyone else out front is going to be rolling just fine. So Al Bunch drops to 1 lap down here tonight. And they might be banking on a wreck waiting to happen here. So getting back in the back of the field, fall a lap down, you know that a wreck might happen. You stay out of that wreck by staying at the back of the field. You get your wave round. Since pretty customary in Sigma Racing, if you go a lap down and we get a caution, you'll get the wave around. But I'm more so just impressed with the change of events that this caution has really shaken this race up for us. A lot of different runners up front fighting for the win now that wouldn't have had a chance to win it here tonight without that caution. '64 of Jacob Schenkel looking stout up to 4th here. Even then, the championship push is not out of reach here for a lot of these drivers. They're going to need some good finishes to show for. But with as many races that we've got left, there's no telling what could transpire and if they could get back into the title mix. Well, this is all battle for the lead here as Tom Cording takes the top spot. Lucas Holmes in 2nd, Carson Bowers in 3rd, and Jacob Schenkel up to 4th. Here we go. Lucas Holmes going to the lead now, dropping Tom Courting on the high side. Now we're going to get into some very old school Darlington racing, as that outside line is very treacherous. Once you get past and bumped up high, just like the 50 did there, it's hard to get back in the inside line. He does find an opening there in front of Jacob Shangle, but that allowed the 26 of Lucas Holmes to start driving away with the lead. And here comes Tom Courting back on the 26 of Holmes. That's going to leave Lucas Holmes up high, hanging to dry there. 64 doesn't get as good of a run, though, and the 26 is able to close back down in front of the 64, but not without losing the lead to Tom Courting in the 50. Well, so far tonight, only one caution has reared its ugly head. Fastest lap in the race since the restart goes to Jacob Shangle in the number 64 Genesis, running right there in the top three. Al Bunch had dominantly led. Dalton Scott had dominantly led for some big stints of the race and have since fallen off the radar right now. Al Bunch had to make an unscheduled pit stop there to make a repair on his car. Seems to be his only Achilles heel here in the Sigma Cup Series. Things that are out of his control will come out and strike him when he least expect it. And part of the reason why we run a full-length endurance-sized race in the Sigma Cup Series, because if this race was only 100 miles long, that would have never happened. So it gives us more opportunities for things to really get shaken up. And the storyline tonight is very, very juicy, as Tom Courting, kind of from out of nowhere, finds himself up front leading here. The best cars early on was definitely Al Bunch and Dalton Scott. But sometimes it's not the best car that ends up winning. It's the guy that's got it all put together for a full 500 miles. Tom Courting rolling high after his brother Tim Courting had a shot at the title in Bridge to Cup. Came up short, didn't have enough to get the title. Wrangled away from Alex Crowther, who is your 2025 Bridge to Cup champion. Here they are closing in on lap traffic. That's the 68 of Finley Herwig, who's got some significant damage that's holding him up here tonight. It's a bummer for the 68 of Finley, who had a decent start to the race. It's just gotten away from him here on the damage. And with him running about 4 seconds off the pace, we're going to have no other option rather than to disqualify him here tonight for being a rolling hazard for the drivers. Yeah, look at that. He is getting out-hauled here. He's going to have to honor the disqualification flag here if he can get an opening down low and get to the low line. There he goes. And off he pulls from the racing surface. Sorry about that one, Finley. Your night is over. Just shy of halfway. Was able to make it 162 laps tonight before getting disqualified. Nope, you had to make an unscheduled pit stop during the start of this green flag stint. So you just fell a lap down. You're running 34th. Your car is not damaged. Simply had to make an unscheduled pit stop right at the start of the restart here. And your car should be fine as long as you get another caution to get a wave around here tonight. You'll be back in the mix. Gotta love the joys of a 500-mile race, that you can get back into a race even when turmoil strikes. Wow, Andre Stefan up to third in that number 56 entry. That's a much improved run out of that team than what we've seen all year. Taden Bergeron in fourth. You got the Runza Chevrolet there up into the top 5. Kellen Relic in the top 10. Well, we're down to 200 laps to go. We're still not at halfway, amazingly enough, but we're getting closer and closer to halfway here in the Southern 500. Tom Corning still continues to hold that lead over Jacob Schenkel and now Andre Stefan. The Bandit Chipper car definitely looking stout here tonight at Darlington. Well, we've made it past halfway here today. And during that transition of green flag pit stops, we've got a new front of the field yet again. As it seems like, well, it's going to slow up the whole front of the field here as they're caught up in the lap traffic. That's going to drag Jacob Schengle, Andre Stefan, Belafon, Dalton Scott, and Braden Varga back into the mix. We got about 10 cars back within a blanket of each other here. But what blows me away here is Bradley Reim must have had a strategy call to get out there on fresh tires quicker. The undercut, as we've been talking all night tonight, getting into the pits first, coming out on fresher tires first, means that you're going to gain a lot of time. And it seems like Bradley Reim and Chaz Chadwick might have been the two lucky benefactors of this last round of green flag pit stops here tonight. Bradley Reim, your Rookie of the Year contender, fighting against Al Bunch for the title right now. He's hoping to get max points tonight on Al Bunch and possibly walk away here tonight with the points lead. The ebb and flow of today's race cannot be understated. It has been a wild and wacky race so far with a lot of different hitters at the front of the field fighting for the win. At one point it was Al Bunch fighting with Dalton Scott. And then you had Tom Cording and Jacob Schengle after that first caution led to a restart. But then we had green flag pit stops here, and it's shaking it up again as Bradley Reim seems to have had the strategy call to get to the front of the field. Chaz Chadwick, as mentioned, trying to right the ship, as it's been a pretty well-known train wreck all year for the 18 team. Whenever they have a good race, it gets stolen from them in the worst of fashions. I mean, it just can't be any more worse luck for a team that 18 has had all year. And so the fact that he's running second here, I'm not going to try to give him the commentator's jinx. I'm just calling what I see, and he's off to a good halfway point here tonight in that number 18 Honda Accord, looking to right the wrongs that have been thrown at him all year. And the gap closes up again as the lap traffic seems to be holding up these leaders significantly. Al Bunch is the lap down. He's still desperately waiting for a caution to strike so that he can get waved back around. We haven't seen that second caution yet tonight, but with them all bunched up here like this, there's, honestly no telling when the next caution might fall. Well, shoot, Al Bunch is actually 2 laps down here tonight after the unscheduled pit stop after that first caution. He is, however, still fighting for positions here tonight and not too far from getting one of those 2 laps back, as he's got the 78 in his sights. Well, we still have not seen another caution since that first one early during the first round of green flag pit stops. Well, holy crap, folks. We are under caution for the second time here tonight. And it happened right in front of our leaders. It was kind of hard to avoid there. Luckily, they were able to kind of cruise through it without too much damage. We've seen drivers here at Darlington where the leaders get wrecked out from the lead like this. So luckily, they were able to clear through this. Oh, Lucas Holmes gets run into. Maggie Reams and Kara Schengle have been duking it out here tonight. And I don't know what is with those two drivers. 34 dumped Kara earlier, and Maggie just finished the job there. I don't know what else to say on that, folks. That's not normal. And that kind of behavior is usually scrutinized by Sigma officials. After tonight, Maggie Reams may be dealing with the penalty after that one. She honestly got the worst end of that stick because it took her out of the race. It took everyone else that was in the mix there kind of out of the race. That's a tough one. You never, ever intentionally wreck drivers for any reason. It never works. You're going to get caught. You'll get penalized. Oh, well, green flag caution yet again under green flag pit stops forces us to only have 2 cars on the lead lap right now. This is going to take a little while. But rest assured, people are going to get waved around back to the lead here tonight. Blown engine from Matthew Fastnot as he gets the wave around. How brutal is that? Well, luckily for Al Bunch, he's back on the lead lap here tonight. Alrighty, so it looks like we're going to have everyone back on the lead lap here tonight. Handful of retirements. It looks like the valve went away on the 09 of Matthew Fastnot. The 34 of Maggie Reams is out due to the caution she just causing a wreck with Kara Shangle. The lights are off on the pace car. We'll get back to going here on lap 263. Couple disqualifications, the 68 of Finlay Herwig and the 14 of Kevin Xavier here tonight. Still a lot of cars left running. This 26 got in the wreck during this last caution. It looks like his car is going to be a handful to drive here. As they're doubled up for the restart here, it looks like pretty standard fare. It's going to be a slow rolling start for these drivers out here tonight. Al Bunch finally on equal playing ground again here tonight. He's going to have to come through the field with 104 laps to go. And the green flag waves. We're back and rolling here in the Southern 500. 2 cautions in, 104 laps left to go. 26 is a sitting roadblock with the damage on that vehicle. It looks like they're just going to come rolling around him here. And Jimmy Logano is going to have to serve a black flag for, must have been a jump start or a legal start. Looks Looks like the only driver black flagged at the front of the field here. 26 is trying to hold his own. And Bradley Reim's got to make a quick move there to get around so that he can start picking him off. Chaz Chadwick's having one of the best nights that he's had in a long time. That 18 looking stout here tonight. Top 10 run with still very much a good shot to get a better finish here tonight than where he's running right now. The change of paint scheme seems to have paid off a little bit as that 18 looks stouter. Bad luck can still rear its ugly head. You never know what's waiting around the next corner here at Darlington. But we've got Kellen Relic leading over Rich Roy, Belafon, and Braden Varga, followed by Andre Stefan and Bradley Reim. And there goes Belafon. She gets stuck up high, dropping backwards like a rock. Al Bunch is already meticulously working his way through the field. He knows that it's a big deal now to try and get up to the front, minimize the points lost here tonight, as Bradley Reim is having a stellar running so far. Bradley Reim just in front of Chaz Chadwick there, running in 6th. Actually, that's 5th. Top 5 at the moment. But in the background, you see that yellow Penske car coming closer and closer each lap, it looks like. I do believe Al Bunch has probably picked off about 10 cars since the restart here, and he's fighting it tooth and nail to get back up front. Keep your eyes focused on the back end of the field. You see that yellow car? Yep, right next to the Mountain Dew car. He's about halfway through the field now from being at the very back. Chaz Chadwick about to get up to 5th here. Bradley Reim moves up into 3rd. 4th rather, my bad. This, folks, is what the Crown Jewel races are all about. Unpredictable yet very exciting racing that can pan out to a new winner. We don't often see these names up front fighting for a win, but they know what's on the line when you come to a Crown Jewel event. Kellen Relic has been in Crown Jewel territory quite a few times throughout his career, winning the likes of the 777 Annual. I think he's actually won the Southern 500 a couple times, so he has got it figured out when it comes to these clutch moments to get a big win on one of the bigger stages in the Sigma Cup Series. Braden Varga up to 2nd. He's catching up. Braden Varga has been in contention for a lot of the big wins this year. It seems like he's always a factor coming down to the end of these Crown Jewel marquee events and whatnot. I'm mostly excited to see some new blood in victory lane here tonight. Kellen Relic could be on par to get his first win of the season. Rich Roy still seeking his first ever career win in Sigma action. Braden Varga in his young career, he's still out there fighting for a rookie title. And it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to even hold a candle to Bradley Reim, who has been lights out, one of the best rookies this year. The lead group seemingly getting further and further away from that secondary group. You're not seeing Al Bunch in the background near as much, as it seems like our leaders are starting to establish a freight train away from them. No matter what, Al Bunch has made it back up to 15th, which is tremendous, knowing the fact that he was about 2 laps down in 33rd just a while ago. This race is far from over, especially with 87 laps left to go. There will be at least one more round of pit stops. And we all know what happens when the pit stops happen here at Darlington. All chaos unfolds. So drivers, for the most part, pretty content just holding their line right now. There's no reason to push the envelope and risk wrecking your car. But just as I say that, Braden Varga looking to maybe try and shake things up a little bit as he really closes that gap on the back bumper of Kellen Relic. Kellen is doing his level damnedest to keep the 9 behind him, but it might be an uphill battle as that 9 looks faster. The 87 simply just holding him off at the moment. Yeah, a lot of follow the leader right now as the drivers have kind of settled into a lull. Not able to really catch, not really any chance to gain, but simply following the leader and learning from your rivals and comrades in speed. So last time that Kellen Relic went to victory lane was a year ago. That was March 8th, 2024 at Brands Hatch where he last went to victory. Last year he broke out and won 2 of the first 4 races, Armory Digital Super Speedway and Brands Hatch. So from one super speedway to a road course, that's quite the spread between his last 2 wins. And then throw in Darlington here tonight, which he's had success at before. At Darlington last year, he finished runner-up. We go a little deeper back in the archives, the 87 of Kellen Relic. Well, so far we're down to 72 laps left remaining in the Southern 500. Just 4 laps shy the 300 lap mark here tonight. It truly has been a race worthy of 500 miles here with a little bit of drama, some lead changes, comers and goers. It's just been a great race through and through. As they're getting around Karashangle. Guess who else has joined the party here at the front of the field? Al Bunch up into 11th. He's right behind Dalton Scott. These are the 2 guys that had been the stars of the show since the start. They unfortunately fell backwards due to strategy calls that dropped them off the pace, and are now back in the mix with just about 70 laps left in the race. It's going to be interesting to see what they've got left in the tank, how much harder they're going to push to fight for the win here tonight, because every win matters, and those points are going to help tremendously rolling into the double points segment of our championship year. Still a very much two-car breakaway at the front here with Kellen Relic and Braden Varga. I'm impressed with Al Bunch's resurgence here tonight. This might be a race worthy of notoriety in the season end award ceremony. Southern 500, Al Bunch bounce back race. Not very often do you see a drive this hard from a driver. You know, that 500 mile rule works into the system again, works into the conversation again tonight. That is why we run these races at a full length 100% distance run, because you never know what's going to happen. Al Bunch goes 2 laps down, so what? Give me a chance, give me the wave around, and I'll get back on the front of the field before you know it. And sure shit, Al Bunch climbing the ladder, looking to try and steal another win here. Potentially. Obviously, there's still plenty of racing to be done. Nothing is locked in the books. Nothing is settled. But we can speculate all we want, and it would be an interesting one if that came to be. Chaz is still impressing the field here tonight with a good, solid top 5 run at the moment. Right there behind Bradley Reim and Rich Roy. It's not really sweat bullets time, but Bradley Reim might want to start working his way back up to the front if Al Bunch is closing the gap to the top of the field. Alrighty, so it should be our last round of pit stops here with 50 laps to go. Whoever's pitting is pitting for the last time tonight. Kellen Relic had to have pitted by now. Yep, there we go. Shuffles around to Braden Varga, your leader. Bradley Reim up to second. And if I walked away from the computer, but they had to have pitted. This has got to be your top two for the win right now. Chaz Chadwick in third. Lynn Farrell in fourth. Cam Jordan up to fifth. Kellen Relic slots his way back into sixth. Rich Roy, man, it has been, pit stops have been the name of the game here tonight, folks. The drivers that have made the best pit stops seem to be the ones that get shuffled to the front of the field. Cooper Dwight made some good calls, getting a good pit stop in the books here for the last pit stop of the night. Taden Berggren, and even Al Bunch, who's looking like he might resurge here for a top 10 finish. It's getting a lot more spread out through the field here, as it's going to come down to who's got track position at the end of this one. Now it's going to be between Braden Varga and Bradley Reim for the win. Could we potentially see another caution late in the race here, as the drivers are simply just trying to bring them all home? Bradley Reim's got a lot on the line here tonight. A win could potentially knock Al Bunch out of the points lead here. Heck, Chaz Chadwick's having a stellar night tonight for the first time all year, running in third there. Really must have been the paint scheme. It must have been jinxed. You know, sometimes you have little mini curses that it's hard to lift, but getting healthy tonight here at Darlington seems to be the formula for that number 18 team. September is going to be wild for the Sigma Cup Series. I don't know how I'm going to fix it or fill it yet, but we're going to be racing almost 8 to 10 times here in September for the Sigma Cup Series. Lucas Oil Raceway Park, which is also known as Indianapolis Raceway Park, is next on the schedule, followed by Portland, Pocono, the double Bristol race, which will be the first double points race of the season. So we've only got 3 regular points paying races left, and then everything after that is double points, where it'll get very, very wild with these drivers trying to hunt down a title. So double points for Bristol with back-to-back doubleheader Friday and a Saturday. Bristol day, Bristol night. Then comes Ricky Raceway, the always unpredictable, always exciting super speedway of chaos. And then you've got Kansas, Rockingham, Lakeside, the home of the Music Fest Grand Prix from last year in Australia. We're going to be going back to Lakeside, but it will not be hosting the Music Fest Grand Prix. That honor goes to Nashville this year, where we've got 110 drivers. The fan vote is live right now. For those of the people that have already voted, thank you very much. And for any of those that are still interested in everything Sigma, just do a quick Google search with Sigma NR2003, and you should be able to find a lot on our series. Reddit is a big hub for me. We've got our own Discord channel. But that Music Fest Grand Prix is going to be exciting. 110 entries locked into the main field. Doesn't mean that they're going to all get to race in the main show. 110 cars. It'll be spread out between 3 days of racing. One day will be qualifying sessions. We'll figure out who's in what heat based on how they qualify on day one. Then comes day two, the alphabet soup run of the Sigma Cup Series Music Fest Grand Prix. We're looking at probably mains that stretch all the way back to G, maybe even the H main. So it'll get deep in the field, and there's only so many drivers that'll make it from that, heat race to the next heat race. Blown engine here, the number 10 of Jordan Walker, blowing her up. It looks like he's going to be able to coast it around on the apron here and get it down pit road without a caution having to drop. But definitely a heartbreak for the 10 car. Just not, the night did not get going for him. Al Bunch could get up into the top 5 pretty easily here, as all those cars are within range for a top 5 finish. Chaz Chadwick not really making any ground up on the 2 leaders up front here, as Bradley Reim and Braden Varga continue to drive away with it at the moment. Still 34 laps to go is quite a grueling tenure. Some drivers say that a lap feels like it takes an eternity at Darlington. So can you only imagine how 33 laps left in a race feels for a track that feels this grueling? Can only imagine. This rookie battle is going to be interesting too, as these two are going to be fighting tooth and nail down to the finish for the best rookie of the year candidate. Pretty sure Bradley Reim has an edge on Braden Varga, but Varga's already outwon Bradley Reim. He's had 3 wins this season. Bradley Reim's only had 1. So we could have a situation here where the driver highest in points doesn't exactly have the best standing in the Rookie of the Year battle, since they're scored on a different spectrum than the actual overall point standings. That rubric is very unique to how they finish when paired up against each other. So like, for example, tonight's race, Braden Varga wins, he'd get 16 points. Bradley Reim finishes second, he'd get 15 points. Well, if one of these two blew up and finished dead last amongst all the rookies, they'd only get 1 point. And so that kind of puts into perspective how big an advantage it is to beat these drivers heads up in the, it'll be a lot tighter of a battle, or it might be very more decided by now. Sigma officials haven't gotten all the tallies scored up yet, but should within due time have some points tallied for that Rookie of the Year battle, so we know what to look forward to when we get closer to the finish of the season. Well, apart from lap traffic, it didn't look like Braden Varga's losing much ground here to Bradley Reim. Reim's going to need a little bit of luck, maybe a little bit of lap traffic to help close this gap now. Well, and just like that, Braden Varga gets by Kara Schenkel to put her a lap down, possibly multiple laps down at this point. 21 is just trying to soldier on after getting dumped here twice tonight by Maggie Reams. That was inexcusable, and both times Kara Schenkel came out on top, even though Maggie Reams took her out. I fear for Bradley Reim that I don't think he's going to have anything here at the end to catch the 9 of Braden Varga. Varga kind of on a Sunday cruise here this fine Thursday night. Only one more hour left on the West Coast, even though this track is based on the East Coast. Yeah, Braden's starting to check out here as that gap grows more and more by the lap. The only thing that could save Bradley Reim is if that lap traffic holds up the 9 something fierce. But at the same time, laps are running out for the 78 as that 9 is setting sail and cruising away with it. Yeah, Bradley is running much slower than the 9 of Braden Varga, who's still continuing to grow that gap in the lead. No one ever said that a win has to be flashy. The 9 of Braden Varga, he's had a few wins that have been flashy this year, stealing the show from a few other drivers, shaking up the fields, and well, tonight kind of fit that bill a little bit. Didn't exactly have the best car out of the gate, but has survived and allowed strategy to help propel him to the top. It's going to be down to just 17 laps left to go. It's going to come down to how he handles the lap traffic in front of him here, and whether or not the race can stay green to the finish. That'll be a huge, huge factor on how this race will conclude here tonight. Well, and it's not even look like Braden Vargas is going to catch lap traffic here. Maybe that is a strategic move from the 9 camp, letting him know it's like, hey, you know, don't have to push the envelope here, knowing that you've got the lead with a steady margin. You might as well just kind of cruise. And it seems like he is kind of rolling around half throttle here just to try and close out the deal. Now, like I said, I don't imagine they're going to have to pit anymore, but NR2003 has done strange things before, so I wouldn't be all that surprised if all of a sudden they decide to start pitting with 4 laps left to go. Just in case we need it, green-white checkers is enabled. Better safe than sorry in case we had that late race caution that we didn't exactly foresee coming. As they run, though, it's Bradley Reim in second, Kellen Relic up to third, Rich Roy up to fourth, Chaz Chadwick with a solid top 5 run here tonight, Cooper Dwight in sixth, Al Bunch up to seventh, Jacob Schengle in eighth, Dalton Scott in ninth, and Andre Stefan 10th. Lynn Farrell 11th, Taden Berger in 12th, Cam Jordan 13th. Running in 14th it is Trevor Walker, and 15th is the 40 of Carson Bowers. That gap continues to grow extensively at the lead, now to a nearly 4-second tune at the front of the field. Yeah, not very many laps left to go now. 4 to go, and it is all Braden Varga up front. He's kind of stinking it up like Chase Briscoe did here just the other night for the Southern 500 in real life. Sometimes it's not the most exciting finish, but at least the racing here tonight was top-notch. And that is something worth writing back home about. The Sigma Cup race from Darlington has not disappointed. Now Kellen Relic is caught up to Bradley Reim. Reim in jeopardy of losing second place, and that would be big in the moment as Al Bunch has climbed all the way up to 5th, and he's going to minimize the points bleeding significantly. As that points bleeding was looking like he was going to give up at least 30, 40, 50 plus points. If they're running the way they're running right now, he might only give up about 5 or 10. Wild. I don't know how it keeps coming to this at the end of the night. Bradley Reim had him beat last week at 8 Bowl, but fell short by 1 spot. Now, in the clasps of the Shark's jaw, yet again the 78 trying to hold on for dear life just to get some points. Precious, precious points against Al Bunch, and it's going to come up short. Yeah, Al Bunch gets by the 71 of Rich Roy. That puts him up to 4th. And it's looking like Bradley Reim might only be in for about a 5-point swing here tonight. At least it'll be 5 points in his direction for a change. He's going to have to hold off Kellen Relic. Something fierce here. White flag waving for Braden Varga. 1 more lap to go. All he's got to do is keep it clean, not cause any carnage with the lap traffic. Meanwhile, Bradley Reim just wants to try and take it home in second. We'll jump back to the front of the field as Braden Varga is coming around turn 3. He's going to be coming through turn 4. He wins a Crown Jewel event this season, and he's going to take the victory in the Southern 500 here tonight for the number 9 of Courting Brothers Motorsports Chevrolet. Bringing it home second is Bradley Reim with some points gained against his nemesis in that points battle, Al Bunch, who brought it home 4th. What a wild turn of events for Al Bunch to go from 2 laps down to rebounding for a top 5 finish. That's unheard of usually. I guarantee you these drivers are tuckered out after a hard-earned battle here at Darlington. 3 hours and 15 minutes is the distance in tonight's race. But Braden Varga comes out victorious for his 4th win on the season. And there's some slight scuttlebutt that Courting Brothers Motorsports are already looking past him for the future. Like he might not be part of the team next year. So Braden is putting himself up there as a high commodity driver in need of a potential seat for next year. I can't believe that's even a theory. It's like, you know, Will Power level of Penske letting Will Power go. "27 races in the book." We're sitting at about 15 races, 16 races left to go. 15. Well, congratulations to Braden Varga on getting that big win here tonight. Crown Jewel wins hit a little different, and he's going to be able to celebrate that one just the same as any other race win, but with a little bit more added prestige to the trophy. So thanks again, folks, for staying tuned this week. We were full of racing action. Some championship deciding races happened. Trucks are going to be set up for the 20 best drivers left in contention. Then you'll be looking at pretty much trucks and Cup for the rest of the year, as ARCA and Bridge to Cup have closed it out. So have a great night, everyone. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester.